Riverside.
You know, Wangeshi hates or as she calls it, my elevator music intro, but I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck because that shit is a vibe.
To
And
you.
with that said, welcome back to another episode of the Untitled Africans. I'm one of your hosts, the Baddie B, aka Brian.
And I'm Wangeshi. Welcome back. Do you love this? We're
Welcome.
like really giving you back to back energy so that don't
You
forget
know,
about us.
oh, I was thinking of a different song.
What?
Don't forget me. Um, Don't Forget Me by from that NBC TV show Smash. All my theater kids know
I
that was my
don't.
show. Yeah, clearly, because you really
Yeah.
like space.
Yeah. But you know,
But forget
lovely.
every man who I ever met, cause they all just live to control. I low-key thought I was Megan Hilty in another life when that show was out. I was like, I could be the it girl in a Broadway musical one of these days.
It was a Broadway musical or a show?
It was a show about the making of a Broadway musical.
Oh, okay. I've watched one of those, like the Legally Blonde one. But that was a
No, this was
reality
in
show.
reality.
Oh,
Yeah, this one is
okay.
fully scripted, like drama.
Oh, I know you loved that. Because
Oh,
you
baby, I
loved
was
Glee.
invested. Okay, pause. I didn't love Glee. I hate watched Glee.
Every episode.
All right, not the most.
Just asking.
With that said, how are you, Miss Girl?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Meg the Stallion just announced her tour. So, that just,
So that's your check-in
really
answer.
helped. Yeah, really helped unearth the hottie in me. Actually, it was supposed to look
Period.
cute during this episode, but I woke up watching Quiet on Set, episode
Oh,
3.
which
So,
we are gonna get into later in
yeah,
this
that
episode.
Yeah, that deaded my get cute
Energy.
energy, and I'm glad because I would have ruined my makeup anyway. But shout out to the hottie herself. I'm really excited
Period.
about her tour. And yeah, I'm feeling good. It's a good day. It's beautiful outside. If the sun is outside, I'm okay.
Yes,
I'm
girl.
okay.
Get that vitamin D. Hotties need
Yes.
their vitamin D
Exactly.
to
Real
grow
bad.
big and strong and become stallions. Ah.
How are you feeling, friend?
Girl, I am defrosting, like I said last time. I'm slowly getting back into, summer and spring Brian. I just think I, you know, I'm just here having a blast, enjoying myself, and just really keeping on.
It's the
I
first day of spring and the first day of Aries season, honey. It's your season.
It is, and it definitely feels like I'm in my season, I'm in my element. I got some really good news this
Purr.
past week that I'm
Purr.
excited to, like, I guess, put out on the social, so y'all stay tuned. Big things coming from Baddie B.
Period.
Wait, I don't know, when is this episode gonna come out?
We shouldn't release it like maybe Friday. We shouldn't
This
make
Friday.
them
Okay.
wait.
Well, then I guess if it's gonna come out this Friday, April 6th, I'm hosting an Afrobeat slash Amapiano day party, um, in the
Yes.
city. All that yappa yappa I've been doing finally put to good use. All that going out. I like to say I'm a socialite in training. So if y'all want to come see your boy hosting, being the absolute most, check out my IG for details. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. I'm super excited for it. It was kind of a random thing that just happened, and I was just like, well, you always outside anyway, and you were gonna go to this day party anyway, so might as well, have a little fun while doing
Yes.
it. So
I love that for you. It's about time because you know one thing you're gonna do is you're gonna hit up people. You're gonna be like, "Are you coming to this? Can you come to this? Can you come to that?" It's about time
Yeah,
somebody pays you for
honestly,
it.
I've been like, trying to get all my friends outside every freaking weekend of the summer, and if it's at no to low cost for them, great, and we all have a good time. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just like, to have a vibe with my friends, and it's always a vibe if I'm there. So I bring the
Just want to
vibes.
do hood rat shit with my friends.
Eh, period.
Yeah, so I'm happy for you, honey. Aries season has officially begun, so you're about to be thriving.
What's the? Isn't it
Yes.
the like the horns, the the
I
ram,
don't know.
the ram?
Oh yeah, yeah, I think so.
Oh no, is that the Texas Longhorns?
The
Either
steakhouse?
way, no. What's the Texas team? They're called the
A&M?
Longhorns. No, the orange
Oh,
one, or is that Tennessee?
I
Girl,
don't
it's
know.
sports. We
We're
don't do that.
losing.
We don't do sports.
I don't
But
know.
yeah, but I mean, well, let's go ahead and just get into what's going on the timeline then, because it has been a very interesting week. First and foremost, let's just go ahead and talk about it. Love is Blind,
Love is
season
blind and delusional.
7.
Six,
Season
right?
6, 7.
I think it's six.
Girl, this been a
It's been too
whirlwind.
many.
We don't even know. Where do we even begin?
Let's
Let's
start
start
with
with the
that
good.
reunion. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Let's start with the good.
Yeah.
The only couple that got married, they were the least interesting.
Yeah, spoiler alert, by the way.
Spoiler alert: there was only one couple who got married, and unfortunately, they were the least interesting to watch.
They were, yeah. I
Because
mean, they were
they're
like,
big,
I don't want a family. I don't want a family, but I don't want birth control. Oh,
but I don't want a
okay. That was
vasectomy.
like, that was the extent of their like,
Quarrel, and like
yeah.
people are like, "What the fuck was that? What am I supposed to do with that now?"
I
Um,
I I liked it. I was kind of waiting for the shoe to drop with them, and it didn't drop. So I was like, "Per."
it was nice to see functional, like, adult conversations happening in a relationship
In between the,
in
hmm
between the two of them, and two adults who went into the process looking for the same thing and agreeing on the same things, and just being, I mean, apart from just like the whole birth control having kids thing, like they seem to be on the very same page about everything, and I was like, wow, that rarely happens.
I know. I
So
loved that.
congrats to them. The reason why we haven't mentioned the names is because honestly, I don't remember their names.
I
Do
don't
you?
either. Maybe Katie. I
Sorry.
don't know. I could have made that up. But
I
let's just start with let's go in order of breakups because there was a
So
new
there's
breakup
them,
every two episodes.
followed by Jeremy and Laura,
Who's
who were
that?
the
Oh, Bean Dip Girl. Were they the first? No, they weren't the first to break
mm-hmm,
up. The
they were.
principal and the white girl were the
Oh
first
wait,
to break
yes.
up.
Oh my God,
You forgot about them, huh?
Kenneth. I forgot. Look, there was a
Kenneth.
our good black educator.
Hmm.
We need more of those in the school systems. Kids,
Amen.
black educators, step the fuck up. We love it.
Amen.
But yes, Kenneth. Let's talk about him
Kenneth.
and oh girl. Whew, boy, that man could not stay away from that damn phone.
That
Um,
phone. I was like, clearly you don't want to be with her. Like, I don't know why you're trying to act like, oh, actually, it's clear we don't see eye to eye. I don't know if it was because it was a white girl, if y'all just didn't have the chemistry that y'all thought y'all had, you weren't attracted to her, what it was, but
well,
like he
the
was like
girl.
very much giving like camp energy in the beginning, like I'm gonna take care of you and you ain't gotta worry about a thing with me.
Mhm.
And then by the end of it, I was like, does this man know your name? Is this your coworker? Like the way he broke up with her was giving HR meeting. Like, I'm sorry, we don't see like eye to
And
we no longer
I
see a future with you in this
right.
position as we are right now. And I just want you to know that if you need a recommendation or for referral for anything, you can count
I
on
got
me.
you.
But we will no
Right. It
longer be
was
continuing
weird.
this transaction.
Not only that, just like the lack of, like, just the stone cold face of it all, while she was literally like bawling her eyes out in front
Bawling.
of him. And everybody was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, this girl who you're supposed to marry is over here like crying in your face. like
He's like, give me a hug. No
upset.
bad
He's
blood,
like,
right?
we good, right? I bet. All right, I'm okay. I'm fuck with you.
I'm gonna go upstairs. Right.
um, you gonna be good? All right, bet you need it.
Bet,
It's
bet,
like,
bet.
all right, you want me to call you Uber? You good? Okay. Like
Right.
it felt like that. It felt like that awkward, like after like the one night stand moment where you're just like, should I stay? Should I go? I was like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, it
Well,
was very weird.
a lot of the girls online are saying that he's very much one of the girls. Is what I'm hearing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't think.
Not that there's any proof or anything, but just the
It's
way
just
he seemed
rumors,
to
speculation.
interact with a girl on the show. Everybody was like, "Oh, he wanted a girl." It's giving he's not interested.
He did not seem
Like,
interested in her.
baby, he was more excited to see dolphins while they were on vacation than he was to spend any time with that girl.
Facts. That's a fact.
I was like, "Oh." That like, and then that boat ride was so like,
They
what are
really
we doing
showed.
here?
I had it on like 1.5 speed or 2x speed, and I could feel the length of the awkward pauses. And the editors really kept all that in. They're like, we're going to show
I'm like,
just how long.
there is somebody in that editor's bay praying for their downfall, and you're just like, what the fuck are we
Well,
doing?
it
But they
happened.
called it quits, and in the reunion, both of them said that like, you know, it's been great knowing the other person, but I think this just worked better as friends. And they even talked about like, if either one of them ever gets into a relationship, like, what's the plan, or like, are they still going to remain? Both of them agreed. They said, um, we're both going to respect the other person's partner. At the end of the day, the whole process of this was for us to find love. If not, that's fine. But we move
We move.
basically was the gist of it. But they
They had
went
no
the way of
bad
the
blood.
wind.
Hmm.
Yeah, which was great. It was a very amicable breakup.
Hmm.
One of the smoothest I've ever seen on the show. So
Yeah,
congrats to
let's talk
them,
about the next not so amicable breakup. Being the
baby.
girl and Mr.
Miss
5 a.m.
Miss Laura and Mr. Jeremy. Is it Jeremy or Jimmy? Which one is
Jeremy.
he?
Jeremy. I
Jeremy.
was getting that
Jer-
confused too. It's
Jeremy
Jeremy.
and Laura and Miss Sarah Ann.
Miss
Love
Sarah Ann.
triangle.
Hashtag justice for Sarah. Yeah. Unpopular opinion, they did too much on that girl. They were doing too much. Who was the one in the relationship? Who was the one that's freshly out of a breakup? And who's the one that was freshly in a relationship? Who owes the loyalty? I understand, like, maybe she shouldn't have done that. Maybe they shouldn't have been having midnight conversations, middle of the night conversations. That's fair. But her sending a text to a man that she just got dumped from, being like, hey, I'm sorry, leave the door open. Anybody would do that. We're 3 days out of a breakup, bitch. Hey, I'm so sorry. And Jeremy should have been like, it is what it is. I'm the one now engaged, freshly engaged. We had the breakup, but I have a woman now. He should have deaded that. And all the smoke for Sarah Ann, where Jeremy just sits there, he says 3 words, and Sarah Ann has to cry and bawl and apologize, and everybody's attacking her. I was like, this doesn't sit well in my spirit. Y'all need to figure out who this energy is supposed to be tailored to.
Okay. You know, as this is a Socratic debate, I'll go ahead and state my business. Sarah Ann wasn't a girl's girl because what are you doing? This man has already told you, I don't choose you. That should have been enough for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna message him telling him that the door is still open. Open for what?
Leave the
He's
door
engaged. It's
open,
it would
girl.
be one thing if it was just like in the real world he broke up with you, and then like 3 days later you're like, fuck, I still and you hit him up. Fine, but you're in an experiment where at the end of it you are going to marry someone, whether or not it's reality TV showing this for entertainment purposes, which she goes on to put on her social media, says, y'all don't know the full story. This is just, this is reality TV for your entertainment, so whatever. Which is put me on red flags and notice on Miss Sarah and Miss Una stand by her side. But we gotta go keep it pushing. But for one, you're in an experiment where you're gonna be marrying somebody at the end of it. What the fuck do you mean you're hitting up an engaged man, not an ex boyfriend? A man whose title is fiance, someone's
That is an ex,
fiance.
though. That is still an ex. They
I don't give a
consider them. They
fuck.
consider each other exes.
They may be exes, but that is your ex, and now he is a fiance, married to, about to marry another woman.
Okay, she must. She
About to
shouldn't have
marry
said.
another woman.
She shouldn't have said
After he
leave
told
the
you, I
door
do not
open.
choose you. I
She
do
shouldn't
not
have said
choose
leave the
you.
door open, but her sending this heartfelt text message like let me get to say what I've wanted to say to you is fine. Now she
You
messed
had
up.
the no 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 no.
She
She had
messed
the
up,
time to say
Brian.
everything.
I never
She no,
disagreed
I
that she
let you speak.
messed up.
No no no. I let you speak. I let you speak. I sat here and I let you
You
speak. Let me
you
make my
talking
point.
a lot, honey.
Okay, and I let you do your whole entire spiel riding for Sarah
Okay,
Ann.
go ahead.
Let
Go
me come
ahead.
at her like I want to come at her.
Go
Let me come at her
ahead.
like I want to. All I'm gonna say is Sarah Ann is not a girl's girl for one, because you had your opportunity to say everything you wanted to say to this man in those pods. You did. And after his decision, he decided what he decided. You should have been like, okay, at least I left my. If you felt you hadn't left your heart out there, baby, you should have gone back into that pod and be like, wait, I got one more thing to say. No, you leave it at that and you keep it pushing. Now, if you come to find out that he ended up not getting engaged or not even engaging in, then sure, go ahead, hit him up. Hey, you be like, I still have XYZ, fine. But he went on to, like, he chose somebody. For one, you're not a girl's girl for that. And I will stand by 10 toes down for that. And two, the fact that you even allowed him or even showed up to the same place as him, and I think she knew that he was going to be where he that at that Lost Dog or whatever tavern or whatever it's called. I think she knew he was going to be there, and she showed up on purpose to show face. And then you're gonna follow him on Instagram on top of that. Wasn't the whole point of this to be blind? Sarah Ann, I'm sorry, I cannot ride for you the way your namesake over here can, because I'm sorry, I can't. I can't see it as anything. For one, she went against the rules of the experiment. So there goes the experiment itself. Now, he is not off the hook. I'm going to just say that. Because for one, you entertained it. And that's fucked up on you. Because after you just met your fiance's family and talked about all this, protecting her heart, being in love with her, blah, 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 you're going to go and spend a whole night with another woman that you were in love with. You don't love this person. So you knew you were, and she asked him, so you knew you were going to break up with me when you were meeting my family. You knew this was going to work out when you were meeting my family, telling them all these lies. You're a pathological liar. It's giving Legion. It's giving Legion, because what the fuck? Why are we here? Then why are we here? And I'm glad she said the best line ever. And I hope you stub your toe with an open foot. Ooh. Said burn him. Burn him.
Are you
And that's
done?
my piece. Yes.
Are you done?
Yes, that's my piece.
Anyways, you're proving my point. People have all this smoke for Sarah Ann. You just went in on her for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then had 30 seconds for Jeremy, the one actually in the relationship. So that just proved my point entirely to what I was saying. I'm not saying Sarah was like in the right completely. She should have sent that. Clearly, she thought this was about to be Zach and Bliss, and that's not what this is, honey. Jeremy, I don't even think needs to be in a relationship in the first place. He shouldn't have even been on this show, because this man was like, I don't know if it was him being with Miss Bean Dip or what, but his like communication style was absolute trash. So I'm like,
It's
what is
giving
he doing on
avoidant
this?
attachment style.
I think they were both avoiding attachment, him and Miss Bean Dip. So it was like, oh, you don't want to be in this? I don't want to be in this. Oh, you can go? I can go. So they shouldn't have ever been together. And then so for him to go find this other girl who clearly was like reaching out to him, like, oh, I wish we were like still together. And I'm so sorry this didn't happen, like blah, 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 blah. And then continue to pursue her. That's what I'm saying. That should have been the focus of this topic. Not, oh, she's not a girl's girl. I don't give a
Okay.
fuck. I don't give a fuck if she's a girl's girl or not. I give a fuck about this man being faithful to his fiance. That's what matters in this. And everybody wants to attack Sarah Ann. She's not a girl's girl. Y'all are not being girls by focusing on the woman who made a mistake instead of the man who made a commitment. So I
Like
just
I
want to
said,
make that clear.
I have equal smoke for both of them.
It's not equal.
Granted, Okay, granted, my time frame on the amount of times I went on in on her were not equal. I still have smoke for him because that I want. I have two questions for both of them actually, Sarah and Jeremy. Where were y'all at on January 6th?
Oh, you know
Because
where
it's
they
giving that
were.
energy. It's giving that
Is
energy.
that Jeremy and Sarah Ann or Chelsea and Jimmy?
No, it's for Sarah and Jeremy, and a little bit of Chelsea and Jimmy too. But since you brought him up,
All of
let's go
them.
ahead and talk. But since you brought it up, though, let's go ahead and get into. But we can't get into Chelsea and Jimmy before getting into the man meme of the hour, Mr. Trevor, Mr. Stuck,
Oh my god. He was
the
he looked like
man.
that meme of the black girl in the courtroom.
Yes, after she got caught talking about something, she had spent the morning with her side man and then came into court. Yep, it's given that because how? Listen, everybody was like going into the show after the first few pods episodes going in talking about some protect Trevor, protect Trevor, protect Trevor. Come to find out, we should have been protecting ourselves from Trevor because this man was an opportunistic like person. For
He had
one, he went in there with management first and
That's what it
foremost. That's
was.
weird. Cause why do you have your manager's email on your profile? Weird. Red flag number one. Red flag number two. Few episodes in, it comes out that apparently you were engaged. Oh wait, no, no, that's
Yes, he
Jeremy. That
had
was
he had the text messages.
the text messages came out. Text messages came
Yes.
out about him having a whole girlfriend
He's like,
and
baby, I'm
telling
gonna come
her,
back to you. Don't even worry about this.
"I'm coming back to you. Don't worry about this. Is just for show. I got to do this. You know, XYZ, da 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 da." Boy, I ain't never sat through a good episode of the Love Is Blind reunion like this one. Nick and Vanessa, y'all been reading them Twitter comments, haven't you? Because the way Nick said, "Trevor, thank you for so much for coming." Da, da, da. Trevor thought he was gonna come on there, explain himself, and he was like, "But wait, we have text messages
Receipts,
from your
honey.
ex. Um, production, can we go ahead?" Baby, it was the way that they read those text messages like a conversation, going back and forth. They were eating line item by line, and I was eating every single crumb up. And when
It's
they
like a
got to
court
the part,
stenographer, honey. Like,
baby, and when they got to the parts about him talking about some pumpkin, I love you, it's nothing serious, we
I'm gonna
gotta
come
talk
right
when I get
back to
back.
you.
I'm coming back. When I get back, we're getting engaged. What? Excuse me?
I was like, sir.
So everything you were saying, everything you were talking in the pods to all these women were just lies.
Yeah.
Lies on top of lies. And they literally asked him, they're like, "So what the fuck was that?" And he was like, "Can I leave?"
That was the
Like
realest thing he said that whole time that he was there. It's like,
he
can I
and
go?
then he said he was like, actually I had something prepared. And I think he had something prepared for before the text messages came
Oh,
out.
so
But I
he
don't think he
didn't
knew
know
the
that.
texts were coming out. He
Mm,
didn't know about the texts that were
that's why he was
coming.
looking like that. That actually would
That's
make so
why he
much
was stuck.
sense.
He was like, "Oh, bitch, they set the trap." That's my thing though. If
Beautiful.
they
That was
invite you to a
beautiful.
reunion, if they invite you to a reunion and you don't even have a
Mm.
relationship or any like semblance of attachment to any of the main cast of the show, be scared for your life because
He thought
they
he was
got
just
something for
gonna
that
be there
ass.
and be like, maybe me and Chelsea could have explored blah blah blah.
Yeah, maybe he was there to talk about, that day at the lake party. No, baby. They came there to read his ass for filth.
Mm.
And I lived. I said,
Mm.
"Okay, Nick Lachey, you've been doing your job. I like it."
You know who
You and
also needed
Vanessa.
a good read? Chelsea.
Okay, I'm really mad at the way they set up this whole reunion episode because I thought we were going to get into them. But they literally only discussed the two of them as far as um Jimmy and what was old girl's name? The
Oh,
brunette.
the real Megan Fox. That's what I'm gonna call
No,
her.
the Kardashian.
So we got Megan Kardashian and Megan Nunn, both fighting for Jimmy.
Yes. Yes, her. Like they just focused on the whole like Jimmy after the pods, after the whole show. You went on podcast talking about some that last day I left. Da 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 da. No, but she ate him up when she told him, "I hope you choke. You gonna need an
An
inhaler."
EpiPen, honey.
Was it EpiPen or inhaler?
An EpiPen. She might have said both, honey. Who knows? She was going in.
She read him, and I lived, and I'm sure that probably was just like, well, fuck, damn, girl, you really feel that harshly about us. But either way, but that whole storyline, I was like, all right, this is boring, this is done. But I wanted them to get in on Chelsea and Jimmy and
Oh
really
my
that whole entire
gosh.
relationship.
That girl is unwell.
She, I have never seen somebody so insecure about themselves
How could you
to
go
the
out for
point that
drinks? You didn't tell me you were a partier. Girl, you didn't want
the
that
man left
man.
for an hour. The
Said
man left for an
a drink.
hour.
A drink. So I didn't know you were
He
that
had
kind of
one
person
drink
who
and came
always
home.
goes out.
And she was like, "Well, I'm sorry." Da, da, da. And she was like, "Well, I don't really like you say you love me, but then I don't really feel like you do love me because you're working all day, but then you don't kiss me
You
like
don't
at all."
kiss
I'm
me.
like,
He's like, I kissed
"What
you
kind of
like when I
crybaby
woke up,
bullshit?"
when I had a lunch break, about 30 minutes before this conversation. She's like, that was just like a peck. That was a peck.
We're counting the amount of times that we've kissed. And then she was like, what was the other thing she said? She was like, and then you said that you didn't want to have sex anymore, and he was like, well, because you always initiate it. She was like, well, I most guys would think that's great that their girl is like initiating. Da, da, da. And he was just like, what the fuck? I have a feeling Jimmy was sitting in that every single time they were fighting or going back and forth in that room, just like, what the fuck am I fighting for? What is
Yeah.
this fight about?
Yeah, like, oh
Because
God, what is it now that I did?
the rest of us were confused,
Mm-hmm.
just like Jimmy, and we're just like, "Wow, what's going on?" I thought
It's
the
just
shit
very
was
much
okay.
like have to walk on eggshells, that kind of relationship. Because she wasn't really mad about him going out without her. First of all, it's his friend's birthday. I think like the fact that she heard that he might have seen another girl, I honestly think that she would just prefer him to stay inside if she's inside, him go out when she's outside because women are outside. And as soon as he sees women, he's going to be tempted. It's like growing up with African parents and you tell them you want to go to the mall or go skating. They're like, will boys be there? It's like,
Oh no,
yes, I live in the world. Like, I feel like she wanted to ask Jimmy, like, is there going to be girls there? Is Miss Kardashian going to be there? Is so and
right?
so, like, is the friend that you fucked that you told me not to say on camera that you fucked her gonna be there?
Oh
Like,
my god, that last fight that they had before, like their eventual breakup, was the
nasty.
oh my god, Jimmy. If I was him, I would have been packing too. I don't know what
Mm.
he was going in there to do. Like the fact that she's after he had specifically said to her, yes, this happened. Yes, X, Y, and Z. Like I did sleep with her. And he told her about this. Like, and even though he had her meet the friend when they were doing the meet the friends episode or whatever, the fact that she still threw it in his face and said it on camera after he told her not to mention it on camera because she's not a part of this. I am.
Hmm.
It's giving very much one of those Chelsea's very much one of those people who will use any and everything in their ammunition during a fight. And
Yeah.
that's why he was like, I can't trust you. And I
Yeah.
think that was the instant that he was like, I'm not marrying this person. I can't marry this person. There's no way. Because how are you going to throw something in my face like that when you're insecure about it? Meanwhile, apparently, she's also been in contact with her ex boyfriend as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they said that.
He
Mm.
mentioned it. He was like, "You're mad that I'm still friends with somebody that I slept with, but meanwhile, you're also still
No.
in communication with your ex."
I really wish he stood on business when he said, I'm done. Like, I want to be done. Like, I wish he just let that be their last conversation up until the reunion.
And I think
Because
that
that was nasty.
because even during it was like the episode before the wedding episode, and they're sitting at that like I don't know where they were. They were just outside, and he was just like, "So where are you at about like getting married?" And she just this is what I knew. I said, I love Jimmy. I was like, I loved him for this and this only. When he was basically like, "So where are you?" She was like, "Well, I'm still here. I definitely want to get, I think tomorrow, I'm ready and I'm here to do it. And he was just like, well, I don't. And I'm not. And I said, eat, chewed
Ah,
up.
I was like, finally,
Because,
yes.
yes, like, I could have told you this after the last fight that it
Yeah,
wasn't going to
that
work.
y'all are not gonna make it at all.
There, there was too many instances of them going too much back and forth to be like, okay with going further with this. That relationship was doomed from the start,
From the start,
honestly.
because how he was
From the
asking,
minute she
acting
said I
with.
look like Megan Fox,
Okay,
from the
I
minute she
wasn't gonna
said, I
say
said,
that.
"Yep, mm-mm,
All right.
mm-mm." Too many lies were being told.
It was giving Delulu from the jump, honey.
Okay.
So let's go on to the next couple who broke up.
Well, we
Is
can't
it
talk about AD and Clay without talking about Michael,
who's Michael? You people are
Mister
not
I.
friends.
No, not Michael. Sorry, Matthew,
Oh my God!
Mister
Please.
Clark Kent,
Do you
Mister
know?
Clark
Do you
Kent.
know what Cammy said? Cammy Crawford on her interview with AD said
Mm-hmm.
Michael or no Matthew. That's his name. Matthew is Clark Kent in the streets and Ted Bundy in the sheets. I was like,
No,
she
because
ate that.
to come with a list of pre-prepared questions to ask women is
It
crazy.
was very much giving American Psycho.
I mean, which it's great because it shows that you're prepared and you're genuinely interested in the process. Because okay, great, you want to know these people, but then also, isn't spontaneity the best part about getting to know somebody?
There was none he wanted. He said,
And then
say a number, 15. I thought you would say that. How do you keep your socks organized in the drawer? I'm like, oh, well, actually, I just throw him in. He's already out the door, girl. He's already
girl, when
left.
he was walking out them doors like it was nothing. I was like, damn, Matt, like give a girl a chance.
Right.
Well, clearly AD gave him a chance after the pause, apparently. So
Yeah, they went on 3 dates. I'm like,
was it
three
three
is
or
a
two?
lot. I thought she said three.
I
Multiple,
thought it was
more than
two.
one.
She went on more than one date with the man, and she
Which
did
is,
sleep with him,
she did?
apparently. Or she said she kissed him or something.
Where are you?
Something went
I
down.
need these
Oh no,
details.
the first date, either this first or second date, she went over his place and he cooked.
Oh, per. And she said, hey, she's like, I didn't get trapped in the basement. I'm still here today. So,
It puts the lotion on its skin or else it gets. If you know, you know. But yeah, Matt was a character, and I'm still waiting for this big reveal that he's gonna do. Apparently, he's been all over social media saying Netflix tried to play me. They did,
the
like
edits
the
or
way they showed
something.
me. Yeah, they edited me in the wrong way. That's not who I really am. There's more to the story that to me. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right, baby, you had your 50 minutes of fame. You had your chance. You could have come on the reunion to speak your piece,
I mean,
but
it's fair to say, like, it didn't make him look great on production. Editing editors and producers love to do that. But this is also what you put out there. Like, you came with this notebook and was like, and you were
that's
interviewing
the
people in
thing.
this weird way.
That's the thing about reality TV that a lot of people fail to like understand. Production isn't gonna make shit up or, you know, I mean they will, but it's also they use what they have. If you gave it to them, if you that's how
Right.
you were acting, if those are the words that you said in the interviews or in the pods, maybe they're gonna use it. Whether or not they cut it into pieces and, in order to give this narrative,
Yeah,
that's on
yeah.
them. But either way, it still happened. What happened still happened. So can't be mad at that. But I'm still waiting for his big reveal, whatever it may be. But we gave him too much time, honestly, as it is. But
Right.
let's get into AD and Clay.
Yeah. 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 I was rooting for you. No. Yes, I was.
Honestly,
Clay
were
already
you?
was like in my I was struggling because he said that like in the pods he was asking what she looks like. He was being super superficial, which is like, why
Okay,
are you on
that's
the
another
show?
thing. A lot of the dudes this season are really forgetting the whole point of the experiment is to go into this blind.
blind,
So
honey.
why are you asking like who's your celebrity look like? Like what do you look like? Oh, this is what I'm usually physically attracted to. Like what do like what? You're defeating the purpose of the entire experiment. So please stop.
Yes.
For
So
one.
already then I was like, nay to Clay. But then she chose him. And then this is like dark skinned woman. Okay. So I'm rooting for her off that
You
alone.
know,
She
we were
seems very sweet. So I
I
was
was rooting
like,
for black on black love. That's all I'll
yes,
say.
that too. Also, that. So I was like, okay, he said that superficial stuff, but it doesn't mean that he's a bad dude. But then this man would be like, oh, wow, these noodles are really good. So I'm just so afraid of cheating on you. Wow, look at the sky is blue. I never had a positive male influence in my life who didn't cheat on their spouse. Like everybody I look up to has cheated. Like my mom was with my dad for 25 years and he cheated on her every weekend. And I was with him when he was cheating. Oh, wow, this chair is really comfortable. Maybe we should buy it in our house and hopefully I won't cheat on you on it. But we'll see. How are you? I love you so much. Thank you for accepting me. I'd be like, what is
Oh my
happening?
god.
What?
Like there was so much. It's like it felt like he was just like trauma dumping any chance that he got to talk, any chance that they had together. They were supposed to be, or at least when they were supposed to be on camera, having like emotional conversations about like their future, their lives, or whatever. It he felt like it was this opportunity to reiterate this whole point of like infidelity, infidelity, infidelity. It's happened to me, so I'm like, infidelity is not genetic.
I think these people need to hear that. Put that on a blimp somewhere, Brian, please.
Infidelity is not genetic. Like just because your daddy cheated does not mean that you're gonna cheat. But clearly, according to Clay, it is because his daddy even came out and said, "My daddy cheated, so I cheated,
Did you
and
hear that
because I cheated, you
conversation
might."
he had with his ex-wife?
She
Literally
said, "And
saying what Clay
no,
was saying
can we?
to old
All I'm gonna
girl.
say is Clay's mama is she is
She's
the woman to beat all women because the fact his daddy was like, well, we hope he finds a good woman. I found you, and she was like, yeah, and you lost me, nigga.
That man had the audacity to be sitting there crying about, wow, I really like ruined our
No, he
relationship.
tried. He
Like,
tried.
it's
He
like, please
tried.
stop trying to go for her comfort and her sympathy like you're not the one that wronged her.
Taking your child to your mistresses to go cheat on her.
That is
That's
so
fucked
crazy.
up.
And she
So
put up with you for 25 years.
25 years. That's
Imagine.
crazy. Another thing about Clay. I think I knew I finally understood Clay when I saw his daddy's pin
What?
on the jacket. The Alpha Phi Alpha pin on the daddy's jacket. I said,
Not the alphas
everything
catching
just
strays.
everything just made
Nah, makes
perfect sense. And I
sense.
was like, oh, here we go.
So that'll do it.
But I would every time he was asked about like AD, like why he cares about her, it was always like he would always respond in ways to be like, I like her because she does XYZ for me. It was never about her specifically. It was always about the way AD makes Clay feel, the way AD does X for Clay, the way AD does or is this way with Clay.
Hmm.
She makes me want to be a better man. She, supports everything I do. She's there for me no matter like, no, no, no. We asked you, why do you love her?
As an
Not why do you love the thing.
individual,
Yeah. And it was just like, do you love her? But then
I'm
he want to
like,
come on the
baby, you need to go get
but then
another
he want to come on the
therapist.
reunion talking about some, oh,
She's the
if I
love
had
of
the
my
chance to do it
life.
again. And then the fact that he was just like, when they asked him, it was like, if you were to do it again, would you do anything differently? He was like, yeah, I'd definitely say yes at the altar. You had your chance, nigga. So what the
Don't.
fuck?
Don't. As Bryson Tiller said. Because he should
Don't,
have never even been at that altar. First of all,
bruh. They
this
said
man
this.
said from jump, basically from the moment he proposed to her, he's like, will you marry me? I'm not ready for marriage. He said it every episode. The 15 minutes that they spent together a day when he wasn't, on a boat somewhere on the lake trying to help his businesses or whatever. He was telling her, I'm not ready for marriage. I don't think I'm ready for marriage. I don't even understand why or how they made it to the altar. And it really broke my heart at the altar because he really got over there like, hey, D, yo, we got this. I got you. Like, hyping each other up and making them feel
Okay,
so
body
good. Yes, only to let her down so bad. When that
in front of
crushed,
everyone. You know
that
how I knew he
crushed
was gonna
me.
say no? You know how
Hmm.
I knew he was gonna say no? When
Hmm.
I saw his sister's hair
His sister? I
at
don't
the
even remember
wedding.
his sister.
His sister, she had just a it looked
Messy
like
bun?
basically, you know how, yeah, not even messy bun. You know how like you just grab your hair in the back, you twirl it, boom, put a hair clip and call it,
Mm.
and you're like, okay, let's get to this work, let's get this laundry done. That's when I knew, because that is the how you gonna pull up to your brother's wedding.
She said, this ain't gonna be the only wedding. It's fine.
She said, I'll be back in a year.
Are you kidding?
This
So
ain't got nothing
crazy.
to do with me.
I just don't
No.
understand because Clay iterated and reiterated how much he's in therapy, and it's like, baby, how
No,
are
he
you?
iterated how much he needs to be in therapy. He never said he was in
Oh,
therapy on the show. He said, it's stuff that I need to work on, and maybe I need to go. He kept saying, maybe I need to go to a therapist. Maybe I need to go. He never said he was actually going to a therapist or he was in therapy.
mm. Well, that explains it. That's where he needed to be instead of on this show.
But apparently, after the reunion, he started seeking help because I guess he saw himself in a specific way. But let's get on AD a little bit because I feel like we've been getting on Clay for a minute.
You can get on Clay all day,
For her,
honey.
oh baby, the entire internet can get on Clay for all day. But there was something that he said that a lot of people were confused about when during the altar episode. They were like, I think he said something about to the extent of, I don't really understand her finances, and that led to a lot of people digging. And apparently, Clay's friend decided to come out and say some things about AD
Messy
and her
ass
finances.
nigga. Why are you putting yourself? Okay.
Tell me
Anyways,
the messiest person you know, and let me know why it's a nigga. So
why is it a
apparently he
man?
commented. It's always a man. He apparently Clay's friend commented and said that apparently AD has a sugar daddy, and she's not a real estate agent, and she hasn't sold any properties at all. Which led to a lot of other people digging around, and they found listings with um AD's face and I guess her or whatever realtor she's
Company,
employed by
whatever. Hmm.
company, but that she's employed by multiple listings. And I think actually your boyfriend made a very good point. Is that two things can be true? AD could have had a sugar daddy, but she could have also been a real estate agent and a
Okay.
cheer and a cheerleader. Let's not forget,
Period. NFL cheerleader at that.
NFL cheerleader at that.
Hmm.
Because the way I was very confused as well as about her finances because I'm like, okay, you're cheerleading, but also doing XYZ as a realtor, but then how is it you don't have time? Because she said she was real. From my understanding, if she when she was saying she was, I thought she was doing this solo, like by herself. I didn't know she was at a realtor, like at a company.
Mm.
So I was very confused at that. But the sugar daddy thing was below me because apparently Clay's best friend or a friend said that the sugar daddy himself came up to him and Clay outside a club and said, "Hey, yo, I'm the one funding her lifestyle."
And okay, in this interview, did you watch her interview with Cammy Crawford?
I haven't seen that one yet. I just finished Vile's Files.
She mentioned something about her ex at a club. Actually, this ex who owned a nightclub was blocking calls from Love is Blind casting people. And he was like, "Oh, that's so crazy. Love is Blind trying to call you." And she's like, "Baby, I'm answering. Like, let me call him back." So I have a feeling
Really?
that I don't know because Clay's friend is talking about this happened at a nightclub, and then AD's friend owns or ex owns a nightclub. I'm wondering if they're the same person. But she said she's like, we
Mm.
had broken up like by that point. He's of course wishes he
Right.
could still get with me. He's another Clay. She said I got a list of exes with regrets on my phone at any given moment. And I'm like, work. But also let's unpack that. Um,
No, really.
but she said, yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if a man was coming up like seeing the girl that, seeing the guy that, his ex is dating now and being like, "Oh, I'm still with her, blah 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 blah." I just feel like the
Right.
finances thing was weird because it had never been brought up before that.
It had never been brought up
So
before
to
that,
bring
and
it
then
up
for
at
him
the
to just
altar
like.
is like you looking for stuff kind of thing.
And another thing about that altar episode, after he dumps her at the altar, he goes into the makeup room and like tries to explain why he did what he
Oh, that
did,
got
and
on my
he.
nerves so bad.
Oh, I wanted
I
to
was like,
scratch his eyes out.
just give me a little bit. Yeah, just get a little grip. Yeah.
Just stop the air into his
Just do a little
lungs for like
at the
a few
throat.
seconds.
Just a quick
You
little.
just a ooh, cause and then he gonna be like, "Can I get a hug?" He got that
Oh,
shit from Kenneth.
brother. This guy
Got that shit from
stinks.
he got that shit from Kenneth. I was like, oh. No wonder you and Kenneth got so close. Y'all got the same moves. Every
Yeah.
time you break up with a girl, can I get a hug though?
Yes. You know, AD's actually a Scorpio,
Oh, it
and I
makes
think
so
she's
much
my
sense.
birthday twin, which is what makes me so surprised at her behavior. I was like, girl, drop them. But you know, Scorpios also know how to
Nah.
stick beside somebody. Um,
And another, I think this is gonna sound really bad, but I think her jumping so quickly into bed with Clay was a bad idea.
she
And I
said that
think
they
it's something.
didn't. She said they actually waited a long time, but I'm like, how long could it be? Y'all were engaged for 3 weeks or four. That's
What's a long time to AD? That's the
yeah,
question.
that's fair. Cause wait, at the honeymoon, did they say they had already like slept together?
Yes.
Okay, all right, all right.
I feel like it was hinted at, or at least when they were all sitting with the girls and they were like, "Well, have you guys?" Because I think Chelsea admitted that she and Jimmy had, and I think AD as well, and so had Laura and Jeremy.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that was a mistake for AD because it seems like it's a pattern for her to jump quickly into bed with somebody that she's seeing,
Hmm.
and then I feel like that then clouds her judgment about, and she's unable to see the red flags. Because
I don't think
apparently she was
AD
like,
can see the red flags regardless. I think she's a little
baby,
colorblind.
she's colorblind to the color red.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
Because
Like
ain't no way.
I just didn't understand. And then when she said she got like a number of niggas on her line that are like expressing regret and want to be with her, and I'm like, that's cute and all that they can come
So you
back
got
and
a
be like,
roster?
you know what, I really fucked up with you, like I'm so sorry. But also, girl, what is it about you that keeps opening yourself up to these men that are like clearly not right for you, clearly don't know how to treat you how you should be treated, but yet you're like, let me give them a chance, let me just, maybe they'll learn. Stop
Uh,
dating these men off their potential, of how you hope they'll treat you. Take them for what they're actually saying to you instead of what you want them to be. I think
I
hopefully through
think
this, AD
she
is learning
she
that.
might she might be the type of black woman who might need advice from Steve Harvey. Some
No,
dating
that
advice
was
from Steve
so
Harvey.
unwarranted and excuse me. Steve Harvey is crazy.
No, I mean, granted, he gives it the worst advice to black women, but then there's some advice that some black women need to hear, and I
Yeah.
think that's the kind of advice that she needs to hear. Stop dating niggas on their potential, please.
Yes.
Your life will be better off for it.
Yes.
But from one crazy streaming series to another, let's go ahead and get into Quiet on the Set,
Oh,
the
please.
dark
Oh,
side of kids
please.
TV.
I'm not mentally, emotionally ready. Like,
Where do we even start with this one?
I don't know why. Like, I knew what it was about, but I was still so taken
It's like
aback
you've
from
seen
it.
the trailer, you've
The
seen
clips
all
all
of the.
online.
Yeah, and at the same time, you still sit down and you're just like, wait a
What
goddamn minute.
the what? So
Where do we
let's
start?
just, yeah, let's tell the people what Quiet on Set is.
So Quiet on Set is a docu series about the period of time between the 90s and the 2010s, during the height of the Dan Schneider verse on Nickelodeon, and all of the weird, um, illegal, and just disgusting things that happened on that set.
Specifically to the children.
specifically to the children, but also to other adults who did experience like workplace abuse, and unwarranted, just overall just disgusting behavior. Um,
I broke it down by episode, so you just tell me
all
what you
right,
want to
go
get
ahead, get
into
it.
first.
Go ahead, just episode one. Start.
Episode one, it just starts, seeing all the feet that graced our televisions at Nickelodeon. The
Which none
feet,
of us ever questioned
the
when we were
cum shot
younger.
references, the innuendos, just the weirdness of it all.
Nose boy.
Like, oh, Nose Boy. Nose Boy, for those of you who don't know, where this black boy who was supposed to be a superhero named Nose Boy, he had on a leotard and a cape and two large noses on his shoulders, maybe on his chest too, that were supposed to be like a big nose, which already the racial aspect of that alone is not lost on me. And I thought that
Because
was
you had a
it.
black child
With large noses on him,
playing a super
with a
character.
large nose on his face as well. And then I saw the noses, and they literally
Oh
look
yeah,
like, how do I say
from the
this?
profile, not even profile, from any angle,
Like BBC's
they
on
look.
his
They're very.
shoulder.
They look very. Well, I was gonna say they look very phallic.
Yes, that's the
Um,
word. Thank you. Thank you.
they look very phallic.
Very
Um,
clearly. Yeah.
and I guess the punchline of this whole sketch on, because this was a sketch on all that. The point of this the but punchline of the sketch is he's allergic to asteroids, and he ends up sneezing on this other young lady who's also under the age of 18, who's on this show. And it basically is the punchline of the whole thing is a cum shot, as Wangeshi
Yeah,
said.
because it's like a
Um,
gooey, sticky stuff
yes,
on
and
her
it's
face now.
dripping, and
Yeah.
it's like what? And this kind of punchline is seems to be an ongoing theme in a lot of Dan Schneider
All that,
shows.
Amanda Show, Zoe 101, I think maybe iCarly, like it was just a
Probably Drake
recurring
and
theme.
Josh,
Yeah, very
Sam and
recurring.
Cat,
Mm,
Victorious.
mm, mm. Yeah,
It's an ongoing thing.
yeah.
There's a clip from Victorious where she's like eating a sausage on a stick, and she asks like Jay, "Do you want me to slap? Do you want me to slap you with a sausage?" And like the character
You want me to
goes,
slap your face
"Sure."
with the sausage?
Okay, there's the shorts at the end of the episodes, or like the Dan Warp, whatever, like they had the wood they used to have. It was like supposed to be like Twitter or like TikTok or like YouTube in the Nickelodeon Dan Schneider verse of
Mm-hmm.
the Victorious show. And it would be like the characters like posting small clips, shorts here and there, and one of them had Ariana basically upside down on a bed
Trying to drink
trying to drink
water
water.
from a water bottle.
And it honestly, it is what it is. It was very
Her
sketchy.
eating her
There's
feet, and
the
another one sucking her toe.
um apparently trying to squeeze the juice out of a potato, a
You
very
know
phallic
what? I
potato.
remember that so specifically watching that because when I was in school, like when that first came out, I was like, I don't get this joke at all. I was like, squeeze the juice out of a potato. I know Cat does dumb things, but like, where is the fun in this? And now I'm looking at that and I'm like,
Um
oh my God, what didn't y'all
there's
perversify?
the I think there was one episode called the bird scene episode where like Tori's trying to do this bird scene and she has to do it over and over, and they think like in one of the scenes she's like, I'm gonna nail this bird scene. I even brought Psychowitz two coconuts, and she pulls out two coconuts and holds them up to her chest,
Victorious was
and she's like,
definitely the
and
show.
then literally I think Avan Jogia's character really goes, oh, those are some nice ones. What? This is a children's show? I mean, and also honestly, between Victorious and iCarly, there are so many
So
references
many.
that there's also the putting prepubescent teenage girls in bikinis on Zoe 101 and
Oh,
on
always. They stayed in a
Victorious.
bikini.
There's the episode where they all got trapped in
In the
like a RV with
RV,
no AC, and literally
they're like,
everybody just starts getting undressed.
mm-hmm.
Literally the entire male cast is fully still dressed, except the girls. The girls are in bikini tops, in shorts, and you're just like, what? And then there's the one of like, and in that scene, I think in that episode, you see Ariana literally getting splashed
Yeah, she
by
gets
water
out of
guns
the
by a bunch of
RV, and
dudes.
then the
No,
dudes
she
are
doesn't get out.
like,
She was the only one who wasn't trapped in the RV.
"Oh, yeah,
And she's like out playing on the beach, and like a bunch of dudes surround her and basically like squirt her with water guns. Basically, bukkake,
oh."
if you're not sure of the reference. Yeah, where like a bunch of dudes basically just ejaculate on a girl's face, stomach,
iCarly and
whatever.
Victorious, but specifically Victorious, was definitely where my brain was developed enough to be like, this is so sexual. This show is so sexual. Like at the moment, I didn't think like much of it beyond that, other than like I don't. I hope my mom doesn't see me watching this and like be like, you can't be watching that, because she always told me to turn something off. But honestly, that should have been it for me to be like, if I got to turn this off in front of my mother when I'm watching a kids show,
You shouldn't be watching it.
like that's weird. But when I watched it at the time and I saw that stuff, like I was like, oh my god, like this is so like sexy. Like I am growing up. Like it
And
was the
if you
disconnect.
go back if you go back now, somebody did this and watched the now all the shows are on streaming. If you go back and watch them and you watch till the end, till the final end credit, like the final like splat, there's like little outros by the characters or the cast, and they are so sexual. It's literally just them talking over like the picture of what the production company or whatever, and you're just like, what did he just say? Like there is no, mind you guys, this is only the tip of the iceberg of this entire document. There is
Oh,
still so much
oh,
worse to
so
come.
much. There's also the bit on the Amanda show where they always had like the popcorn in their pants, and they would literally rip out the popcorn film from the back
Oh
and start eating
my
it.
god.
Like it's just stuff like
Not
that that I remembered so like,
since we're referencing the Amanda show, remember the character Penelope Tate?
yeah.
It was her name wasn't Tate, Tate. It was Taint, Taint, as
Huh?
in the skin between the yeah. Apparently that was her last name. But I don't know. To us as kids, it just sounded like Penelope Tate. Her name was Taint. And when it was discussed, like when I guess the character was brought up to like executives, they were like, "Wait, does her last name mean what it means? What we all think it means?" Apparently, Dan was like in on the joke, and in the writers' room, like all the writers were in on the joke.
Dan
But
was
because, but
running
apparently, when the
things.
executives came to Dan, he was like, "No, no, that's not what it means. It means taint, like tainted, milk or tainted, reputation or something like that." And it was just like, and the
Hmm.
executive was like, "Oh, okay."
And
But
another
meanwhile, it
thing
was an
about these
ongoing.
executives, because at the end of the series, Dan was like, "I had to go through so much approval." This was like the written statement he gave them. It's like, the stuff that I
And
put
all
out was approved by executives on the East and the West, and that just really shows me that the people on top really did not care about these children, because they knew what was going on, and they just knew that it was giving them so much money. And then he's like, and the parents and the adults on set all also knew what was going on. But what was very clearly shown to us from the parents and the writers and the staff that made their appearance on the documentary was that nobody felt comfortable to say anything to Dan, because this
because
man
if
was
you
so
were
moody, and if you said anything, chances are you're getting fired.
and who wants to be the mom who kills her child's career, her child's dream?
There was a black mama
Nobody
who
wants to
did
do
that
that.
low key, and I feel like
And
that boy should be so grateful now, and I think he is. Because at the moment he was like,
absolutely.
I want to get my family out the hood. And the mom would speak up like, this stuff is like weird. I don't want him to do this. I don't want him to do that. Blah, 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 blah. And
Because
then
she
he didn't
and
make it to the next season.
because even if you think about what's it called, there was the on all that they used to have the live dares,
Oh, the fear
and he talked about how
factor.
yeah they were like we're trying to make fear they were trying to make Fear Factor but for kids, and in one of the dares they covered him in like peanut butter head to toe, and then released a bunch of dogs, and the dogs were just licking on him. That in itself is like, what child is finding that funny?
And what
I really want to
adult is
know.
having this in your brain? Like really? Like you need to like go to seek help, because for you
That's
to
why I
think
will
of this stuff is not natural, it's not normal,
like.
especially for
That's why
kids.
I have to really question children's television. It's like if your entire I don't know. I guess because like writing for a TV show is supposed to be like for adults, and you're supposed to be like a seasoned veteran and like somebody who has experience. It's like, but if you're writing for a kids TV show, you really have to be in the brains of children to understand this shit. And I'm
I'm
like,
thinking that would
and if you
not
are in the brains of
good.
children, you know it's funny to kids. Kids find farts funny. Kids find people falling
If you
funny.
don't go watch SpongeBob, like,
All your material, like successful. I hate to even say it, but like child discuss it with the child psychiatrist. If you like if you're questioning is like is this appropriate for kids, ask the child psychiatrist first.
mm,
And if they say no, it's not, then don't put it on. Because the fact that like nowadays, even if like since you mentioned SpongeBob, even SpongeBob definitely has a few
that's
references that back in the day we were like, oh, I don't get this joke. And now
when
you
you
sit
grow
back as
up.
an adult and you watch SpongeBob and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Same with Disney. So this whole docuseries, like Quiet on Set, was just shattering a
So
lot
let's
of
let's go
our.
into episode 2, because that was just the beginning, honey. That was
That
just
was
what
just the
was,
tip of the iceberg.
yeah, that was just what was sprinkled into it.
Let's talk about the cast of characters that were around because they
Let's
go
give
into
a
this
trigger
deeper
warning in
and see.
case
Yes,
it's
trigger
just gonna
warning
get
for
continuously
yeah. If
gruesome,
you
hard
are
to listen
somebody,
to.
yeah, if this is gonna is this is a trigger warning for child M
Assault
and P. Well, don't say it unless you want to get flagged on anywhere. But
is talking about assault on
P
children.
Pthrophilia, kind of a situation. So trigger warning. So if you don't want to hear it, go ahead and skip to whatever chapter this is going to end on. But yeah, the cast of characters that were on the show, starting with the PA. We're just gonna call them that because I don't feel like we're gonna get. I don't feel like giving these people names. They don't deserve it. But apparently, there was one PA who worked on all that, or the Amanda Show, who turns out apparently was convicted after an investigation found that he had mountains of child pornography, as well as tokens of each child that he may have essayed, um, including I think a little girl's undergarments. Um, they didn't I don't believe they went into any other specifics, but one mother did come forward and talk about her daughter's experience with the PA, and he apparently was very kind, and the cast of the shows even talk about like he was a great guy, he would just walk you to set, try to be really cool with like the parents, and he was very friendly with the parents and the kids. After you'd come on as an extra, he would like exchange his information, if they ever needed more extras, he might email you for other jobs. So with the ongoing thing with a lot of these people who would go after the children is that they would understand the children's desire and hunger to be the next Amanda, to be the next Drake, and they would harp on that and go after that, and they would see basically hunter hunting, prey, and you find their weakness in like what it is they want most, and you entice them with that to bring them in. And that's exactly how this guy did it, to the point where now he was exchanging emails daily with this girl, to the point where the last email exchange he had with her was him sending a picture of himself in the nude with his basically masturbating in the image. And he in the email he said to her, um, I wanted to show you that I'm how much I'm thinking about you. And apparently as soon as she opened that email, she shut off the computer and ran into her room and started crying, and her mom was like, what's wrong? And her mom ran back to the computer and saw the email and was like, delete, block, you're never speaking to this person again. So it wasn't until the investigation found all this information out that the parent the I think it was like FBI or something, called the mom and was like, "Hey, would you be willing to let your daughter testify in this case because we have a lot on him that could put him away for a very long time." And she let her daughter go speak. Um, but this was somebody who was employed on the show,
Had a lot of
the
power. I
Amanda show,
mean,
had not power, but
not
had a
but
lot of
over the
access
children. Yeah.
over the children. And also somebody, because as a PA, you would walk talent to set. And in this case, the talent were children. And in this case, a lot of times he had plenty of time between holding room to set with these children. And that is the part that fucking scares the shit out of me every single time. Because one of the victims of this actually was like, yeah, he actually came over my house and we were playing video games and he kissed me and tried to stick his tongue down my mouth. And you're just and like I'm sitting there listening to this and I'm just like I'm trying to, and this was like I think it was like 7 or 8 year old kid that he did this to. And I'm just like, are you like at 7 or 8 years old? I couldn't even fathom like what kissing was. Like I've seen it on TV, I've seen adults do it, but like the horror, and then being told by this adult who you think is supposed to be like, your friend, which again, an adult child friendship, how the fuck does that make sense? Um, is just like I can't even think like what that kid must have been going through in that moment when that person did that to them.
Yeah. That was only
Sorry to get
episode
graphic.
2.
That was only episode 2.
And then
Because then,
they did a shout out to Pickle Boy also. Hey, he's gonna come up very soon. Brian Pack, who,
oh no, Pickle Boy was at the end of
yeah,
episode 2 where he's referenced. Apparently, he was an ongoing character on, I think, was it All That or the
Amanda
Amanda Show,
show. And he would
where
just
he
come
was
out
just
with like a large thing of
plate
pickles, and then they'd be
pickles.
like, "Oh, pickles, blah blah blah," and he'd give
Pickle Boy.
guests and stuff, celebrities. This is a grown man, by the way, and he'd give all these pickles away to people, and they'd eat it on TV.
Again, a phallic symbol.
And I think it was Drake Bell's dad who's like, "Is that not
Does that not,
sexual and weird?"
because in one of the sketches, Pickle Boy is like walking down a hallway. He sees somebody banging on the door from a room, and the doorknobs have fallen off, so now there's just a hole where the doorknob is, and the person can't get out. But they're saying, "I'm hungry. Can somebody give me some food? Can somebody?" And what does Pickle Boy do?
Gives
Takes
him a
his pickle,
pickle.
slides it through the hole in the door. Again, sexual reference to a glory hole. Let's be very frank about what it was. It was a sexual reference to a glory hole. Slips it in, and the other person on the other side is a celebrity, Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond. And you just see him take the pickle, and he's like holding it and eating it, and you're just like, and you're just hearing him on the other, like they cut back to Pickle Boy, and you just hear Ray just making noises like, this is so good.
And you know what's like the gag of all this? This is Dan Schneider's show, especially the Amanda show. That was like what put him like what
On the
made
map.
him who he is. And he would have these scenes, just like thinking about watching him as a kid and just being like, what's the point of this? And he would be in these scenes where Amanda would be like in a hot tub in a bikini, with
Again,
some
putting a
guests,
pew pew.
and then with adults.
He's
And then
fully clothed,
so he would be
but
in
she's in a
there.
bikini.
So there's one scene where she's in the bikini, he's the guest, all his clothes on, in the hot tub, and she's like, "Oh, so what do you do?" Blah blah blah. And he's like, "I'm the executive producer. I'm the producer. I'm the creator. I'm the writer of the show." And she's like, "Oh, so you make everything that happens on this show happen?" And he's like, "Mm-hmm." And at the time, it's
So
kind of like, to me as a kid
okay,
processing it is, what's the point of this? This is not funny. But now with like,
I don't really care about this man in this.
yeah, like making the show. But with my adult brain, it's like, oh, he's flexing on TV right now. That he's like, yeah,
That he
all
can put
this, that this is
anything on
happening.
television and be greenlit, and it be
Exactly.
okay.
I am in the hot tub with an underage girl right now on TV. on my show, and this is allowed. I have people putting pickles through little holes in the wall on my show. I remember the skit they used to do where he was like an angry old like man on the phone with Amanda and like trying to order pizza or whatever the bit was. And it was like it was not funny. And it was not funny at all to me. But I was like, it was recurring. Like I think they had it every episode, and I realized now that man just wanted to be involved in Amanda's life in the show. He didn't want to just be behind the scenes. He wanted to be in front of the screen too. Like this is the girl I talk to. I'm always on the phone with. Like I think this man was obsessed with Amanda
because
Bynes, and I also
they
kind
even
of
go into detail into how ingratiated he had made himself in her life to the point where when she ran away from her parents because she wanted to be emancipated, she ran to him,
yeah, in the middle of the night,
not
mind
her
you,
right, not to a best friend's house, not to her manager, her agent, you
boyfriend.
know, boyfriend or something who apparently she was dating somebody older who her parents did not approve of. She ran to Dan. Why?
I also have
He
a
this man
couple
had in,
questions for her father because you worked with Dan closely. And
mm,
I'm just really like, I wonder how it managed to get to this point, especially for
that's
her
one of the questions
to
that
end
comes
up,
up a lot for me.
yeah, like relying on this abuser, because that's what he was. He was a complete abuser, abuser of his power, abuser of the people around him. Like, what made her rely on this abuser, and why didn't you do more to protect him? Like for the Drake Bell bit, we saw the dad. The dad was there. Like I knew who this
The
predator was. But where
the dad
is
saw the signs early on in the whole like
yeah,
career
the
because
dad, Drake's dad was on it. But I'm like, okay, Amanda's father is working closely. And I get it, like, to an extent. Like, a lot of these parents, they weren't in the
they didn't come
business.
from the ear. Yeah, they
The
didn't come from the
kids are in the
industry.
business. They're all figuring it out together. But there was just something about the dad that made me just remember of like men used to sell their daughters. I mean, to this day, men sell their daughters to the highest bidder. And that is
I'm
immediately
glad that you
like,
also felt that because I immediately was just like, it seems that he just was like, we need money.
mm,
You can make us money. Connect yourself with this man no matter what. I don't care.
yeah,
Like it's
because
giving very much pageant parent.
yeah, because she was doing comedy at the Laugh Factory at like 7, like
At
crazy
on a,
young
I mean,
age.
granted it was during kids night,
Yeah,
but still.
but it's like that kind of thing is like, oh, that's cute and fun. Like you have a very talented kid, like yes, show it. But then there's the parents who exploit their children, and those tend to be the ones with the most successful children, like the Jeanette McCurdy's, like the oh Lord, the
Drew
freaking going back from the
Barrymore's.
freaking Jackson 5, like the parents who are willing to exploit their children the most end up having getting the most bang out of their buck. So when I saw that Amanda's dad was like so heavily involved, I was confused for a second, and then I remembered like not everybody has the best wishes for their children. Like,
No,
yeah,
literally. And it was just awful to watch because the whole Dan Schneider, because even when she went on to go do like What a Girl Wants, he followed her and he was like, yeah, this isn't a Nickelodeon show. This
this is
isn't a kids
not.
show. Like,
And the
why are you
co-creator was
here?
like, "You get on my nerves," and I'm
Dude,
a co-creator. I
get the
got I
fuck
got the
out.
same amount of power as you, honey. And I don't think Dan Schneider knew how to work with that because he's used to having the
He
say
didn't.
all. Because what we didn't talk about with episode 1 was some of the stuff that he was putting his writers through,
Oh my
particularly
god. And the female writers,
these two female
the two
writers
female writers who for one, A had to split a salary
split a
apparently.
salary. And they were basically like saying that sometimes Dan would write them like emails or notes and tell them to yell things. So I think originally it was words like hammer, and it was so random. And he'd just email them, yell this. And, if they ignored it, he'd send it again, all caps, exclamation marks, yell this. And they yell it. And at
Yeah.
first it starts with hammer, but then there was a point where it's going into words like slut. But when you hear about the other things he was making them do, it's not so
Giving him
surprising.
massages on
Giving him
set.
massages, and that was like, not even just the writers who did it, like a costumer said it. It was, and then there was like a point where he made a writer, one of the female writers, eat 2 pints of ice cream, like just stuff her face
For three hundred
for three hundred
dollars,
dollars. And I don't know if he ended up paying her because he forgot originally. I don't know if she ever saw that money. Not that it would
and
really help, but like
does
maybe,
it fucking matter
yeah,
in a
like this,
way?
it wouldn't help the psychological trauma of it all. And then there was another part. I don't even want to go into what he made her do in that writer's room because she didn't even want to talk about it in that documentary. So y'all can watch it if you watch it. But it was just like, why was this allowed in the writer's room? Like,
Yeah,
there was no protections against these women. And it's like, we're the only two women here. Like, we don't want to speak up and like lose our jobs.
and it
And it's so
was,
hard for us to even get here in the first place.
and then the fact that one of them ended up quitting like 4 days into being asked to come back for the second season.
Yeah. Testament. She's like, I'm not
It's
about to be the only one here, honey. And then the one that got fired before that was like, oh, I'm suing him, by the way. And she's like, yes, yes, I will write a
good.
letter for
I'm here
you,
for it.
please. Which, I mean, didn't really
But
end up going anywhere because that was 20 years ago. And that man, I did not know was making shows up until Henry Danger. I aged out
yeah,
of, we were aged out of Nick and Disney Channel by that time. And that man was still creating
and
shows.
even then, like you could still see the same jokes in Henry Danger. If you've seen that show, there's still the same foot jokes, even though they're not as prevalent. There's like he got a couple in there before they like asked him to be like, all right, you gotta go from the show. Sorry,
Yeah.
but I just it was that the first two episodes were a lot, but then they finish off the episode with the story of how Pickle Boy um was the ultimate like evil on that set apart from Dan and the PA. But
Drake
Drake
Bell
Bell
goes to have a seat. And
comes
episode
to have a seat,
three
and episode 3
broke
begins.
me. Let me tell you, babes, if
Oh,
I don't care if you're a true crime girly, okay? I don't care if you're like,
mm-mm.
I could muster through shit. Like, I was like, let me make sure I finish this episode before we record so I can, have all of the information. And the way
Right.
episode three, mm-mm.
I don't think anything could have prepared me for that. Because I had seen the clips from when the trailer was dropped back in like February, where they were like, "Oh, did you know about?" Where like production, the whoever's behind the camera asking the guests questions, and they're like, "Did you know who that they're it was one of like a cast member?" And one of the co-creators or co-executive producers was like, "Wait, was it one of our kids?" And they were like, "Yeah." He was like, "What?"
20
And
years
you're just
later, they
seeing
don't
like
know.
they're like, "Oh, are you at?" And then they ask somebody else, so like, "Did you know?" And they're like, "Wait, what?" It was a child. They were like, "It was a child star." They're like, "Wait, what?" Yeah. So finally, we get to find out it was Drake Bell, who apparently was essayed by Pickle Boy.
Let's not call him that.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think his
That's
last
I just
name
don't
is
want to
like
say his name because
Beck or something.
Peck,
Yeah.
yeah, was sexually assaulted by Peck when he was younger, around I believe
15.
14, 13.
He said he was 15.
Um,
And there was
yeah,
like an ongoing thing. He was like I don't know what I can say on camera or what I feel comfortable saying, but whatever is
but
the
all I
worst
can say,
thing that you can
think of the worst
imagine,
thing
somebody
to
being
like
essayed is essentially what happened to me. And then when they showed the court
the court.
documents that got
It's
into more
everything you can
detail, it
possibly
was
think.
literally that, like, and it was a 15-year-old boy. And I just want to say shout out to Drake's girlfriend's mama when he was in high school or whatever,
Mm.
because wow. First of all, let's talk about the
She was like,
journey that Drake took to get here, because Drake was doing this with his dad. His dad was his manager.
Sure, for the
And
longest because it was a bonding experience for them.
yeah,
You
the
know, he
dad
was
was
enjoying the
like,
time of getting to drive him to auditions after school,
yes.
come back home, you know, and he finally got on. I think the first thing was the Amanda show he got on, and he was doing great on there. And his dad started noticing Brian Peck or whatever, you know, taking interest in him, and dad was like, I don't like you hanging around this dude, you know, but
Yeah,
okay,
so the
I'm just
dad
gonna
and
keep an
him
eye
were
out.
like together. So that was cool. And then, they see Drake and Josh's like back and forth on the Amanda show because of course it was iconic at the time. So that's how they get their
You remember
show.
the country cousins?
Oh yes. Knock knock, who's there?
Sea bass, sea bass who? Sea bass who? Sea bass you? Yeah, that was. Oh, I think you dropped out. I can't hear you. But you remember the country cousins?
Oh yes.
Knock
Knock
knock.
knock.
Who's
Who's
there?
the-
Sea bass. Sea bass who? Sea bass
I'm gonna
you.
hit you in the
Woo.
head with a sea bass.
Sea bass. Or the
See, that's the
who's
kind
the
of dumb, like Looney Tune stuff that kids actually like. Like, you
or
don't need the
the
innuendos.
the guitar the I guess it was supposed to be like a parody of Wayne's World. Wayne's World, Wayne, or and it was like this Drake and like these long hairs, like a
Yo, what up,
guitarist who was like,
bro?
yeah. So this
Yeah,
one time, I
and
was
then
like, I
yeah,
saw a spider, and I was like, spider,
spider.
and then the spider was like, me, cool. Like
Cool.
that shit is funny to kids.
Yes. So Drake is over here taking off on the Amanda show. Honestly, as a kid, I totally shipped them. I was like, oh my God, when did they get a date? Anyways, and the dad is in the background, like peeping Mr. Peck's energy, and like he's like, he would always just have his hands on like Drake's shoulders, around his waist, things that
Like
an
a girl
adult would.
would do if she was interested
Mm-hmm.
or like had a crush on a guy. That's at least
Yeah.
how I saw it when the dad was describing it to me. I was like, oh,
Mm.
he was doing the things like a girl would do if she was like interested in a guy, like put her hands on him, like show some sort of like physical, ness. And then he
Yeah. And then so
talked
the dad was
about
like, I'm peeping this. And then Mr. Peck is basically in Drake's ear, like, oh, it's. I don't think you should have your dad as a manager. Like, lots of kids that drop their parents as they get older. It's not going to be good for your career to have your dad hanging around, because the dad was very like vocal and frank
adamant
about,
about keeping
yeah,
Peck
like
away from his kid at all times, no matter what.
exactly. And then so one day, one weekend, Drake is staying with the mama, and the mama calls up the dad, like, yo,
Hey,
Drake
he doesn't
says
want to do
that.
this with you anymore.
Exactly. So the dad is like, okay, great, fine. Like, not
But
great, but whatever you do, make sure that
as
Mr.
long
Peck
as he's
stays
happy.
away from Drake. Yeah.
No,
Make
and the fact that
sure
he emphasized
Mr.
that so
Peck
much.
stays away from Drake. And the mama is like, can do, Mark, Paul, Mr. Drake, Papa Drake Bell. Sure, sure,
I
sure.
can do that.
So Drake stays like an hour away from where the set is. So it's a lot of commuting for the mom. So Mr. Peck is like, you know what? I can help, like, let me help you guys. Let me help you pick up the slack. Like, Drake can hang out with me. He can sleep over in my place. I live much closer to the studio, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And Drake, the first instance is just super traumatizing. He wakes up in the middle of the night and Mr. Peck is like there,
Essaying him.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the first
And he's
instant.
just
And
like, and the Drake really, he said he was like, what was I gonna do? Like call my mom, but then
in
she
the
had
middle
to
of the
drive an hour to
night.
come in the middle of the night to drive an hour to come pick me up. What, call the cops and wait for them outside on his porch?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do. This boy is,
Because
he's a 15-year-old boy.
as a child, basically,
Yeah,
is like,
he's
what
like,
are you
I don't
supposed to?
know. I've never
Because
had an
either
adult do
way,
this to me.
because either way, whatever his action course of action was, he would have had to wait for
Yeah.
somebody else to come, and that would have been more time for him, or for more time for Peck to be like come up with an excuse that say whatever, whatever. And sure
It's
enough,
so
Peck,
Peck immediately apologizes. I don't know what came over me.
oh,
Blase, blase,
it was
blah.
an accident. I didn't
And
mean
I
for it to
just,
happen.
and it's just so crazy because Drake's dad called it, told the mom specifically. And yet, I don't know, because, these people that do these kinds of things, they might be master manipulators. So I'm not over here trying to
Oh
blame
yeah,
Drake's mom too hard. But it's also like, you had the warning from your father's child. Girl, what more did you need? But she's like, oh, and she might have been working and a mother, but you failed your child in that instance completely. Whew. Just thinking about that.
yeah. Episode
Mm.
3 was really difficult to like watch through and watch him because the dad breaks down, Drake breaks down,
Once they
because
started
you.
breaking down, I was like, I'm done. I'm on the floor. Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not like Drake's for just because this instance forgives Drake's behavior in current, um, but at least it
It
kind
does
of
not. This
it
is why
gives an insight a little bit into
how it
his
started.
state, and like because they say
It's a
victims tend to
cycle.
sometimes turn to you know the
This
villains
is why
themselves.
psychology is very important. I feel like psychology needs to be studied. Some of the sickest people study psychology, and really it should be mandated
Oh my
because
god.
this is like a psychology 101 of cycles of like the abused becoming the abuser.
Right.
And I just feel like more people need to know that it's never an excuse. It's simply one of the reasons. And I think people will stop looking at reasons. People always ask like killers and molesters, why would you do that, why would you do that, like why would you do that to somebody else, and they don't want to hear that the person who did this was a victim themselves. But a lot of the
Because
time,
once you hear
like,
it, it's like
this
you
is how
start
it
to
starts.
sympathize.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, you're not about to make me feel bad for you. Oof. uh, you're not about to make me feel bad for you, but at the end of the day, all of these people are human. And as soon as we stop trying to vilify people as simply evil or good and realize there is reasoning as to why people
Do what they do.
do what they do, we can start like actually helping people instead of simply thinking that, like, oh, you did this, you need to go to prison. Baby, 9 times out of 10, that does not help them. Like,
All it does is
I'm
just
not even on here to preach and get emotional, but like,
no. I
that
mean,
shit really, uh,
it's
that shit was
it's
hard to
it's
watch.
it's a tough cycle to like try to stop, and
Yes.
to be start to ask yourself like where do we even start is like
To
another
unpack all
thing.
this.
Yeah. So I don't. It's okay to get emotional. I was trying my
I
hardest to
watched the
like do
episode
it.
like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, so it's fresh.
No, I just
It's
finished it
fresh
like
in
last
here.
night. I just finished it last night, so I'm still a little like watching those scenes and just watching him describe it, and then
Ugh.
hearing him in the courtroom, walking the courtroom when he described like he walked into a courtroom to because finally in the end after Drake's girlfriend's mom is like, hey, you need to take this kid to I'm taking this kid to our therapist to like talk about this. And then I guess one day Drake like broke down and just like screamed on the phone, and while he was on the phone with his mother, and was just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is what's been happening. And the charges were brought forward, and he's so finally Drake is in the courtroom during the sentencing for Peck, and he walks in, and on Peck's side of the courtroom he sees 40 or 50 plus
The side of the
people.
courtroom was full on Mr. Peck's side.
But on his side, I think it was literally just like the lawyer and maybe like one or two other people, and then him
It
and
was
his
like
family
his brother and his mom and his
and him.
defense. Yeah.
Yes. And to see, apparently, according to a lot of the protesters who've been outside of Nickelodeon on Sunset, they said apparently there are some very famous names sitting on his side of the bench on this of the courtroom. And a lot of famous people
And I'm
definitely
dying.
wrote letters in support
James Marsden, you will
of
never be Ken.
damn.
That
No,
seeing
for
James
real.
Marsden's name, I
That
was like,
fucking hurt. That
I was
fucking hurt
just like, why weren't you cast for Barbie? And now I'm like,
because I have been rooting for that man's career for so long because
talk
I think
about
he has
it.
been so robbed of so many great roles, but now I can never be like, oh,
It was the brother and the black girl's boyfriend also on Boy Meets World. Um,
yes.
that also
Two
wrote
of the
letters. There was 50 letters, something crazy like that.
40 something 41 letters. 41 letters
Yes.
of support for this
And then
man.
some of them were talking about, oh, I can
Oh,
only imagine that this only happened in extenuating circumstances, and that he was had to be extremely tempted. He must have had a lot
to
of
touch a
temptation
child,
for
to
this. And
touch
it's
a child.
like,
So my thing is though, in order for there to have been I think a lot of those and I think one person who was asked about their letter of support definitely said they were told to write that letter of support under different circumstances. They
yeah, they
hadn't
were
been
like, I
given
was
the true
given
story.
misinformation
I was
as
misinformed
to,
as to why this letter of support was to be written. And mind you, one person out of 41 said this.
yeah,
So I'm in that vein. I'm like trying really hard to be like, well, maybe the rest of them
like maybe they weren't
didn't
being
know
told
the
everything.
truth. And so I have to question as to what was the pretense that they were under to write these letters of support. That is
Push
the
to
only saving
temptation
grace.
is crazy though,
That is the
regardless
only
of the
grace that I'm giving
context.
them. That
Yeah.
is the only grace that I'm giving them because in the end, the news broke the story saying famous child actor dialogue coach arrested on child molestation charges. After you read that, there's no way if you're in the industry you avoided that because
Yeah.
according to people who have spoken about Brian Peck, he was very connected. He worked with Leonardo DiCaprio.
And was looking all inappropriate in that video too.
Yes, he worked with Leonardo DiCaprio. So you're telling me that man who's that connected, granted it was Leo when he was younger, granted that man who's that connected and y'all were not reading the newspaper
Y'all didn't know a
or the
thing
stories that were
about
coming out about
this.
him. I mean, granted, a lot of the case was like sealed because it had to do with a minor,
Hmm.
understandable. But I'm sure that the journalist who was on this story definitely tried to do their best to report as much as they could.
We need to talk about
So,
journalism later, also.
so this whole idea of like how much they were told or the misinformation that they were told or the pretense they were under when they were told to write these letters of support,
Can
I
only
keep
protect
trying to
them
give them
so
grace,
much.
but then like you must have known. There's no way. So what you're telling me is their information was out there. You didn't seek it out for yourself, but you thought under the information that I was told, I'm still going to write a letter of support.
Yeah. I think at the
You're
end of the day,
disgusting.
people were trying to cover their ass because they knew this was coming out. Based off of them giving statements to the documentary makers about them being misinformed means that they knew their name was likely to come out in support for this predator. So they're like,
I mean, I'm sure they
let
were.
me say something. But like at the end of the day, the people were writing this because they're like, I knew this
No,
person as this kind of way, and I don't give a fuck about what the other person like. This is not about what they went through. It kind of reminds me of the Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis situation, which I loved them growing up. But
oh,
they wrote the letter about the other dude on that 70s show because I loved that 70s show. And one of the cast
oh,
members,
which?
Hmm.
Which
One of
cast
the
member did they?
one of the cast members, what's his name? Red. I don't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
Um, got um sentenced for raping at least one girl, if not two. And Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher wrote the judge a letter talking
Of
about
support.
Hyde, that was his
Oh
name,
God.
talking about how great Danny is and how he really shouldn't have this kind of consequence to his actions because he's actually a great person, and probation. And it was like so heartbreaking to see Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis say this, and they were on like they filmed themselves trying to apologize and excuse their actions. Ashton Kutcher, I think, had to step down from his position because he literally is in an organization that's supposed to protect women from human trafficking, which is like, girl, are you dumb? Or are you dense? Or are
Oh
you dumb?
God.
So it was just like, oh, this has been going on in the industry for decades, where
Oh yeah.
somebody is held accountable for their actions, and then like the people in the industry turn around and try to protect them and be like, no, they're actually not this way. That had to be a one-off situation, and it's like doing all that they can to
Baby.
protect this predator.
Like my thing is always I use this as a perfect example. Do not be the idiot that supports a Bill Cosby type when only the tip of the iceberg is exposed.
Mm,
Because
baby,
baby, because
so much more.
behind one, there's a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
So to these individuals who wrote their letters of support to Brian to Peck, question yourselves and what it is that you stand for, because it is for. And then Drake had to stand there and read his statement and said, to all of you sitting behind him supporting me, just remember you supported him assaulting me.
Mm. Violating him.
And I hope every single one of those people has that memory ingrained in their heads, because that is, I have a feeling that memories will be the one played at the gates,
Mm.
at the pearly gates,
Mm.
and said, and God's gonna be like, this you,
This you
this you,
right here?
this you.
Okay.
Because in sending those letters of support, you basically signed saying that you condone this happening.
Also, with them protecting one another, that man was literally hired for Sweet Life of Zach and
Literally,
Cody
they
as a
said
writer after he was served his sentence.
he served his sentence, and then literally two the husband and wife team that worked on Zach and Cody later on hired him, or I guess gave him
Couple.
a recommendation to be hired to be on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody,
And then,
another show.
and then they were like, they asked him, so what did he say when you asked him about the whole assault situation? And they were like, oh, he said that it was resolved. What does that mean to you? He's on a sex offender list, babe.
Like he has to be, like he has to report
He's
anytime
not
he
even
is
supposed to
working with
be around
children.
children.
So you guys hired him for who? Mr.
Sweet,
Mosby?
sweet life as Brian. Moving on,
Like y'all
please.
hired him for who? Carrie Martin, the mom?
Had to be.
Y'all hi- y'all hired
Had
him
to
for who?
be.
Irwin?
I'll
You
write
hired
their lines.
you hired them for who? Esteban? Who was this? Who? Because from my understanding, his entire work resume has been a dialect coach for children.
For children.
So I don't know how that would translate. You know what?
I just like, I'm like, can I
Is
even have children? There's enough to worry about with having children without
as it
also
is.
seeing
And then
this.
you also wanting to work in the industry makes me feel like, well, damn,
Where the hell can I go?
right?
Like, if y'all can do this on camera, y'all can do this
Like,
everywhere.
right.
So yeah, episode 4 was all about, exposing some names, honey. And I just want to say shout out to Jeanette. Shout out to Miss Alexis, I think is her name, from the first
Alexis
season of Zoe.
Nichols.
Because they were the ones saying it when not a lot of people were saying it. Shout out to the costumer who called up SAG during the Me Too movement and was like, by the way, Dan is an abuser and he's terrible to work with. And he literally, like, should not have the position that he's in. I just and shout out to all the unnamed, unfaced people who really like came forward to tell their story with and potential and risking their livelihood. Like this is the industry where it's all about who you know and who knows you, and everybody who does anything, it's based off of networking and the connections you build. And if you put one break in that connection, you literally, especially with somebody as powerful as Dan, you're risking everything that you've built and you worked hard for. So
Right.
shout out to them people who were like, I'm gonna have to do that,
No.
including that black boy from Brooklyn or the Bronx's mama, who said, I'm sorry, son, that this, made you
Had
lose
to
your
happen,
job,
but
but I'm speaking
I'm
up for
glad I got
you.
your ass. I'm glad I got your ass out of there.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry that, your dream was crushed and
You
but
gotta, go to therapy for that now, but you would have been going possibly for much worse if you had stayed there.
shout out to a praying black parent. I love,
Okay.
because that mama was on her knees praying to the Lord,
Honey,
saying,
I
"Protect my
just
child, Lord. If
protect.
Lord, if this dream is my child's and you have bestowed it upon them, you have given them talent, let them go forth without any issue.
And
But if
that's the
not, Lord, let them find their path."
mm,
And that praying grandma and that praying mama,
we'll do it
when
every
she said
time.
that prayer, God said, "Baby,
I got you.
it's handled." Like
Don't even
like
worry
Olivia
about it,
Pope,
sweetheart.
it's handled. It's handled.
Don't worry about it.
And sure enough, when
Yes,
that agent called and said, "Hey, can y'all come up to the
it's a wrap.
office? It's a wrap for you." Mama said,
Honey,
"Okay."
yeah, you
Even though
never
she had to sit there
know.
and really see her child, like she said in that instant when his dreams was crushed, I saw him become a man, and it was
Become
like,
a
damn,
man. His everything changed after that.
his composure, the way, and that's
I'm
hard for a
like,
mother to.
yeah, I can't
So
imagine. But look, it was because, hey, you never know. That no might be the greatest no to ever come your way. Every rejection that you receive, honey, may be a blessing in disguise. Y'all just need to remember
come on,
that.
somebody,
Y'all
come on,
just
somebody.
need to remember, honey.
I think
Um,
I I think this show has or this docu series is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot of NDAs that were signed, a lot of hush money that was given out, because I mean, even in Jeanette McCurdy herself, she says in her book that her agents, like, they tried to apparently offer her, like, I think it was like $30,000
oh yes, I'm
in order,
mad.
after Sam and Cat was finished. They try to, like, be like, "Hey, the show's not going forward anymore, but we're gonna need you to sign this," and but they've also offered you a release of X amount of dollars. And she said no.
I
And
will
I'm
be
glad
sharing
she
my
said
story,
no.
honey. I will
I'm so
be.
glad she said no, because that no led to a lot of open doors,
Yeah.
a lot of floodgates.
Let
So
the floodgates of heaven
come
rain
on,
down on
church.
me. Do you know who? Let me not say who it won't rain down on, but a cozy fu to the cast of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. I was really sticking with y'all through
No,
y'all exposing, giving head to each other on set and everything. But
y'all
y'all
talking about
want
all the
that
nasty
reboot a
things
little
y'all was
bit
doing.
too badly because Devin Work
Disgusting.
Hires decided to freaking open his invisible lips to talk about, oh, I don't know what was going on in that set. We weren't doing all that. Y'all were doing this, that, and the third. That's crazy. I wouldn't know anything about that.
You too, little JJ. Don't think I forgot.
Oop,
Talking about
oop.
some. I wasn't bent over, spreading my booty cheeks. Decorum, please.
Like,
That's why your show only got one season.
honey. So that's
Fuck
declassified.
you.
I just hate it didn't happen to me though,
Happened to
ass
me.
nigga. I just hate them that they have nothing to add to the discussion other than
Conversation.
it didn't happen to me. So now it's trying to sow doubt in other people's seeds because what else are you doing? Why are you in this conversation if it didn't happen to you otherwise?
Right.
And your fave actually spoke about it. Dan Schneider decided to speak with Tebow of all people.
Of all
And for
people.
those of you who don't know,
For the
because who
Hollywood
the
Reporter.
is Tebow in 2024? He was the tall black dude on iCarly who would like sell random stuff
On a stick.
at the like yeah
Tacos on a
exactly.
stick. Donuts on a
Donuts
stick.
on a stick, just random,
Random.
what was supposed to be just fun and light, random nonsense. For
Right.
whatever reason, he is the one interviewing, if that is even the word to be given.
Dan Schneider.
Because Dan Schneider decided to speak out, which I'm like, this man isn't in jail? Oh, I that was news to me. I
Yeah, a
just
lot of people were
assumed.
confused. They were like, wait, he's not in jail. No, well, let me give y'all the tea. Apparently, Nickelodeon said, Dan, it's been real, but we're going to let you go after everything that came out. Gave this man a $7 million severance package to dip out. But I believe he still has like credits on a couple of the shows.
I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting
I
residual
think
checks to this day. I mean, he probably is.
I think Henry Danger is off air, but
I think they were doing
I
like a
think
reboot or
Danger
a
Force,
spinoff. Oh,
Danger
that's
Force,
it.
the spinoff, I think might still be on, but I'm not 100% sure. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is Tebow asking Dan Schneider a question. So, I had a great time working with you, and you actually are praised for being so diverse. But for whatever reason, the blacks on the show said they didn't feel appreciated. But me personally, I never had an issue with you. So, what do you have to say about that?
my thing is, does this man still have that much power that you are tap dancing in front of him?
Okay, got them, got them shiny black shoes on, honey. I was
Does
like,
Dan still have this much power in Hollywood that you are tap
got
dancing
to.
this hard?
Everything he asked was prefaced with I love you. Just know that I would never say these things,
But the
but
people on
they
the
want to
series,
know. And then they didn't even get into like the basics. There was no accountability other
it
than
just
Dan
sounded
being like, I
like,
should have been more of a pleasure to work with, and I'm sorry for that. I was
I'm
moody.
sorry
You're
I yelled.
right.
I'm sorry I yelled. And I'm sorry you were offended by the jokes that were meant for children. If you're looking at it from an adult's minds, then you're fucked up.
He said,
Huh?
actually, there should have been a therapist on set because then the therapist could have told me which children are having issues and they could have left so that the children don't have to work on scenes that they don't want to work on. And it's like, okay, so basically, he doesn't even realize how he sounds, that he's still threatening people's jobs as
You know
he's
how
trying to clear his
power
name.
you know how power can sometimes
Literally
what's the
change your
word?
brain.
Yes. To the point where like you think you've done nothing wrong. And they asked him about the pay discrepancy with the two female writers having to split a salary. He was like, well, it's happened before. On my show after that show, there was two that, a man and a woman. It wasn't anything that had to do with gender. On the next show after that, there was two writers also, a man and another man, who also had to split a salary. It happens more often than you think for first time writers. And I'm like, I thought the guild definitely said that's illegal. Okay.
Full
Mm,
stop. Full stop.
okay. And that's where he leaves it. He was like, well, I never had anything to do with pay as far as the writers go. That was never my division. I'm like, but you over here betting people $300, forcing them to eat ice cream, 2 pints of ice cream in your face,
Yeah.
forcing them to simulate, automy from the bot during. Okay,
Yeah.
sure, Dan. It just seemed very
Sure,
much like
Dan.
this interview with I don't even know his name, but we're just gonna call
Tebow.
him Tebow for now. It seemed like this interview with Tebow was just like a apology tour for Dan.
He
So
needed
it
a
was mad
Gail
weird.
King, honey. Real bad.
I needed a Gail King taking on Robert Kelly type of interview.
Right.
Where
Let
is
me see you
Meredith
fight for your
Vieira?
life, little
Where is
boy.
Diane Sawyer? Where are
Yes. Where are the
the real
journalists?
journalists?
Honey.
Bring back real journalism. None of this bullshit talking about some actors on actors or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care
No,
enough.
this is
I'm
literally
sorry.
an actors on actors session.
I don't care
Like,
enough.
that's why
But
this was on the Hollywood Reporter.
clearly.
Yeah.
But
Who
that was
child?
fucking weird as shit.
Yeah, this was a
With that
heavy
said, I think
episode.
It was. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, rate, do all the good stuff. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok at Untitled Africans Pod. We love y'all for listening. Thank you. It's been
Yes,
real.
thank you so much. This is a heavy episode, so we appreciate y'all for sticking through it. If you did, if you didn't, I
Go take a
understand.
walk.
Yeah.
Go take a walk. Touch grass. Do all the good stuff.
Right.
And on that note, we out.
Bye.